Well, Aaron Ebertowski,
Yes, sir.
we're a year into COVID, and we were going to talk a little bit about like what are some of the things that we've seen that have changed over the past year since the last time we chatted, which is pretty significant.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we always used to joke about the fact that we were a work from home organization, or companies could enable work from home. But if you'd asked me a year ago, our companies work from home, I would have absolutely said yes. Now, a year later, I would absolutely say no. And I don't like to deal in absolutes. But I think, if you look at the way businesses had to transform almost immediately to we have to support our staff no matter where they're at. I mean, we were really close at the time that lockdown started happening a year ago to having staff stuck in Europe. I was supposed to be going to Europe in the second or the third week in March, the fourth week in March. My partner and I were both supposed to be going to Europe, and when when the president at the time stopped travel coming back into the U.S. is when we decided not to go because they were still allowing American citizens. Within a matter of 7 days, we went to a scenario where people had to be able to work from virtually anywhere. It was a bit complex to understand. VPN. It's something as simple as I need to access a file share that we take for granted when we're sitting in an office is now completely not possible in the realm of I now have to also, for lack of a better way of putting it, I now also have to be able to access that same file share from my home. Mm-hmm. And when you have to say I have to access that file share from my home, it opens up an entirely new and different security conversation, let alone everything else. It actually changed the way that we work. And we were pretty much a cloud-first organization anyway. But enabling Windows Virtual Desktop, enabling AWS Workspaces, allowing people to work from anywhere but have a dedicated and secure desktop, probably I think is step number one. Obviously, you and I are talking from different parts of the country. Commercial conference calling tools have now kind of become mainstream and the standard. I mean, all four of my kids are in some form of college or another, or just recently graduated, and all four of them had to attend classes via Zoom or via Teams or via WebEx or insert your favorite, and Blue Jeans. All of them happened. You got introduced to things called lockdown browsers for classes and kids that are, working remote. Things we never really thought about before from a proctoring point of view. Remote delivery of classes, remote delivery of meetings. All of that is drastically changed from a year ago, and it's resulted in growing pains. I think people not understanding how everything from what is Microsoft 365 and why do I care a year ago to now I'm getting desktops and laptops shipped to my staff at their home, and when they turn it on, I want it to walk through an autopilot activity. That transformation where static image to now image that's build as you go or build on the fly is drastically different, and we've done it in a year, which is really kind of insane to say that, to see a radical transformation that way.
Yeah. No, we talked early on, you even mentioned here just a second ago that at least early on, we saw a pretty significant influx, especially around Windows Virtual Desktops, as people are trying to adapt to this type of support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Windows Virtual Desktops, secure desktops, corporate desktops off of home PCs. I can't tell you the number of people who have corporate PCs that are really like maybe desktops. They're not laptops. They're not tablets. They're not mobile computing platforms. They're desktop tied to a desk. And the ability to say, here is the exact same experience, whether you're sitting at home on your sofa, you're sitting in a hospital in a quarantine bed, or you're sitting in the office space. To say you have exactly the same desktop is very hard to accomplish. And Microsoft with Windows Virtual Desktop has done a really good job allowing us and facilitating that to happen. There's other virtual desktop platforms out there as well that have done a pretty good job of transforming the way that works. And every time we come back at it, that's the fundamental, I think, the most drastic change that we've seen after conference software everywhere. The single most radical change we've seen is how do I get the same desktop experience, whether you're working on a controlled or uncontrolled PC? And that's really what we, as we talk about it, I think that's probably, in the top 5, that's a top 5 of things we've learned a year from when we all entered lockdown. I think if you ask me what's the top 5, that might be number 1 or number 2 after. And I think number 1 is going to be conferencing everywhere. Number 2 is probably going to be that, PC experience, whether it's managed or controlled or uncontrolled PCs.
Right. No, it was staying on the Windows Virtual Desktop. Another thing that I think we quickly learned is that, a lot of these companies, because of the uncertainty around COVID, the lockdowns, the business interruptions, they're also trying to find the most cost-effective way to support their work staff. And one of those ways was that we were able to, not only these Windows Virtual Desktops, you're paying for just the consumption. We were able to establish like business hours to keep the Azure costs under control. But one of those happy benefits, I guess, is that they realized that they could pull this off supporting their staff with Chromebooks or some of the lower cost machines that they would typically have to be spending some pretty significant dollars for that hardware.
I have mine right here. It's a Samsung Chromebook. This is my mobile PC platform now. It's a Samsung Chromebook. It authenticates to my Azure AD environment. It is secured and aligns with all my corporate policies and standards. It allows me to use Teams and Zoom and WebEx on a corporately managed device. Well, at the same time, if I need heavy duty firepower of a laptop or a desktop, typically what ends up running into it there is I run into my privileged access workstation or my control desktop, my virtual desktop infrastructure platform. A lot of what I do, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, I can work on here just fine. It's when I can't do what I'm doing on here. And by the way, Visual Studio Code works on here. Most of the stuff that I'm working on a daily basis, I work on the Chromebook just fine. This is all I carry with me anymore. I've gone to Jacksonville a few times to visit my mother. I've visited my mom and my sister. I don't carry a big backpack anymore because my desktop is sitting in the cloud no matter where I'm at.
And one of those benefits there too is the battery life on those type of devices are just insane. Like you can go a day or more in some of those situations.
I have worked officially on this thing unconnected for 18 hours. It's just short of 18 hours, like 17 hours and 40 something minutes. I have a Surface Go also if I need a Windows machine that I'm going to be traveling with. Small Surface Go, that 11.6 inch tablet. Love it. Need a quick little tablet to take notes in. It fits in the side of my shorts if I'm wearing cargo shorts. If I'm so I can carry that with me everywhere. My wife and I both have one, and we can use it. If we have to have a PC nearly available, that's been awesome as well. Because again, my desktop experience for my heavy duty workloads, my day-to-day writing code, running Docker containers, Kubernetes containers, things like that. Visual Studio, SQL Server. MySQL Management Studio, all of those different things that are out there that I use on a daily basis. I don't run on either this Samsung Chromebook or on my Surface Go. I instead run it on in my desktop, running in the cloud.
Thank you for watching Stratum's Cloud Interrupted. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like, and share this video.